So, in the activity that we just did, we saw a lot of different programs, and you started to think about what types of programs you might want to create. When we create a program, one of the things we need to do is draw everything on the screen. We are going to try that with a student computer today. So, you will have to have someone to work with. So what we're going to do for our warm-up is a drawing challenge. Now, we want to have 2 volunteers sit at the front of the room and don't look at the screen, except we're going to make that a little bit more challenging. What I want you to do is I am going to explain to you how to draw this picture in this area. Okay, so on lesson 2, plotting shapes, level 1, let me explain how this works first. Okay, you choose a color to change the color of the shapes. Make sure you show the grid, okay? Click on a shape every time that you want to draw a new shape. So right now I have a red circle selected, and then I'm going to put that shape there. Now, if I wanted a green square, I would select green, I would select the square, and then wherever my mouse is, it's going to give you the coordinates right down there. All right. So if I wanted a blue circle, my mouse is at the center of the blue circle versus the top left of the square. So let me reset everything so that I can describe to you what to draw. Okay. In the top left area of your grid, put a green circle. And then on top of that, put a red square. Towards the top right of your grid, put a blue square. Towards the bottom center of your grid, put a red circle, and then right below that, put a blue circle, and then kind of up like towards the middle, and then a little bit towards the right, but still overlapping, put a green circle. Okay. I want you to take a screenshot of what you have and put that in your journal, and then answer what makes this challenging. And I'm going to give you about a minute to do that. All right, so this is what I was trying to describe to you. I want you to compare your drawing to what I was trying to describe to you. And I want you to write down instructions in your journal about how you would explain to the computer to draw the picture. And I'm going to give you a little bit of time to do that. So take a screenshot of this image so that way you can have something to go off of, because I'm also going to put the journal prompt up here. Okay, What are the different challenges or problems we're going to need to solve in order to successfully communicate these kinds of drawings? I'm going to give you about a minute to answer this question in your journal. All right, our question of the day that we're going to answer in our journal by the end of the lesson is, how can we clearly communicate how to draw something on a screen? So you would want to do this with a partner. If there is someone in your class that you can partner with, that would be preferable. Otherwise, you'll have to kind of partner with somebody that doesn't really know what you're doing. So that might make it a little bit harder. If both of you can go to code.org, again, we're going to be just using this area, and reset, play around with it, and make sure that you understand how it works, because there are going to be 2 different activity guides for this lesson. And it's important for you and your partner to have different versions of the activity guide. So if you have activity guide A and your partner has activity guide B, make sure that you don't share what that activity guide looks like, because the purpose is to practice communicating. So you're going to take turns communicating how to draw the shapes from the activity guide to your partner. Take a screenshot whenever your partner is done and they can share it with you. And after you have had a chance to play around with the interface to make sure that you see how it works, go ahead and get ready for drawing number 1. Each member of the pair should complete their first drawing, taking turns giving instructions and using the tool. These drawings do not feature any overlapping shapes, but you may need to grapple with the fact that circles are drawn from the middle and squares are drawn from the top left corner. And then you also have to pay attention to the X and the Y axis. All right, so the up and down, vertical, that's the Y axis, and then left and right is the X axis. Pause the video here so that you can work on the first drawing on your activity guide. Now, for the second drawing, you'll need to describe to your partner how to draw the second drawing. And these drawings do have overlapping shapes. So you'll have to consider the order in which the shapes are being placed, as well as when you should change the color of your pen. So pause the video, take a couple of minutes to do this, and then we can resume. If you have enough time, there is a part on the activity guide that allows you to draw your own. And then you can kind of see how you can communicate how your own drawing goes. And then what we want to do is, when we make images, we need a way to communicate exactly where each shape goes. The coordinate plane helps us to do that. Our coordinate plane has 2 coordinates, the X coordinate going left and right, and the Y coordinate going up and down. The X coordinate tells us how far our shape is from the left of the grid, and the Y coordinate tells us how far our shape is from the top of the grid. The black dots on the shape help you be very specific about how the shape is placed on the grid. So after you finish doing all of your drawings, you'll need to reflect on how that process went. So make sure you do that before you turn it in. And then for your closing journal for this lesson, what things were important in communicating about position, color, and order of the shapes in this activity? And then the second part of the question is, what's a way you have seen similar problems solved in the past? Pause the video here so that you can answer this. And then I want you to also answer the question of the day. How can we clearly communicate how to draw something on a screen? At the beginning of this lesson, we saw that communicating how to draw even simple shapes can be pretty challenging. The grid we learned about today is one solution to the problem, but there are many others that could have worked. In fact, a lot of you probably noticed that the grid in Game Lab is flipped. Computer screens come in all different shapes and sizes, as does the content we show them on. We need to agree on one point where all the content can flow from. Since we read starting at the top left corner, the grid on a computer screen starts at the top left corner as well. So you can see it, the 0, 0 is right here. There's also a benefit of not having to use any negative numbers to talk about locations on the screen. So don't worry if this flipped grid is a little tricky still, because we've got plenty of more time to work on it in the coming lessons. Don't forget to complete your activity guide before you submit it, and if you have a partner, which you'll need to have a partner, make sure you include your partner's name at the very top of your activity guide.